The skyboat arrived without omen, as the Starwalkers always came in those days. I was performing the evening ablutions in the inner temple when my apprentice burst through the cedar doors, eyes wide with sacred fear. "High Priestess," she gasped, "the servants of distant Ra have returned." I dry my hands slowly, deliberately. The gods teach patience. The Keru Netta, the voice of God's people, had been descending from the night sky for 3 generations, ever since my grandmother's grandmother first witnessed their silver skyboat settling like a divine falcon into the western desert. In all that time they had never arrived with chaos, only with questions that tested Ma'at's boundaries. The celestial vessel rested behind the 7th Dune, exactly where protocol and propriety dictated. Its surface moved like quicksilver, under Khonsu's light, a craft wrought by knowledge no mortal could grasp. Yet Thoth had whispered to us, "Judge not their tools, but their heart's alignment with Ma'at." 2 figures emerged as I approached, their forms stretching long in the dusk. The Keru Netta stood nearly twice my height, bodies like papyrus reeds, skin luminous as the inner shell of the Nile oyster. Their eyes, vast and silver as sacred pools, reflected all of creation, yet revealed no depths of their own. "Neferis Ankh," the taller one intoned, my name emerging perfectly, though they possessed no mouth I could perceive. "We come bearing the weight of the stopped heart." Between them, cradled in 4 slender arms, rested something I'd never seen them carry. A container. Crystalline, the size of a canopic jar, filled with mist. "Sekhem Keru has dissolved," the shorter one continued, and I heard in their harmonic voice what might have been the sound of Ma'at disturbed. "Our seeker of hidden things, our companion, Sekhem Keru walked your Earthrealm for 40 flood seasons." "The gods receive all who pass beyond the horizon," I said, pressing my palm to my heart. "But your grief honors Ma'at." "We do not know the proper way." The words emerged like a prayer denied. "In our far realm, when one's thread is cut, their form returns to the breath of the world. Within 3 sunrisings, nothing remains. No vessel, no—" They struggled. "No anchor for the car." Understanding bloomed like lotus in my chest. They had come seeking what only the gods had taught us. "You wish to preserve what is eternal," I said softly. "We wish what you possess, what we have observed you craft through ages." The taller one gestured toward the pyramids rising in the distance, their limestone faces blazing with Ra's final glory. "You make your departed endure. We have witnessed humans weeping at stone houses centuries old, children placing flowers on carved names of ancestors who walked before their grandfathers' grandfathers. This is—" Another pause. "This is a form of Ma'at we cannot perform, but Thoth whispers we must learn." I gazed at the urn holding their companion's dissolved form, then at the sky beings who had traversed the starfields to ask us how to serve their dead, according to divine order. "Come," I said. "I shall teach you what the gods have taught us." We began at dawn, as Khepri pushes the sun disk into being. I led them to consecrated ground near the temple complex, far from common paths. The Keru Netta had brought implements from their skyboat, devices of light and thought that might carve stone by will alone, but I made them set these aside. "The struggle honors both the dead and the gods," I explained, pressing a copper chisel into the taller one's 3 fingers. "Difficulty is prayer made manifest." They fumbled like children, these beings who commanded vessels that crossed the infinite. The chisel slipped, the mallet struck wrong, but I was patient, as the gods are patient with all who seek Ma'at. "Why must the path be harsh?" the shorter Keru Netta asked, after laboring beneath Ra's rising heat. "Because easy offerings are empty vessels," I replied. "When you pour sweat and breath into creation, it becomes sacred. Every aching muscle is an offering to the gods, every careful strike a prayer for the car of your departed. Anubis watches, Thoth records. The work itself must be true." I showed them how to cut stone, how to dress its surface according to the ancient patterns Imhotep received in vision. The Kereneta learned swiftly. They possessed great intelligence, but they seemed moved by something beyond mere knowledge. I observed them caressing rough limestone, marveling. "In our distant realm," the taller one said quietly, "we shape with light thoughts and sky patterns. Nothing resists our will. Nothing possesses weight of being. But this—" They pressed their smooth palm against the stone. "This fights. This participates in creation." "Now you understand," I said, "why the gods taught us to build. Things that can crumble, that require tending and protection, that weather under Shu's breath. These remind us that Ma'at is maintained through constant devotion. Nothing endures without the gods' favor and human hands working in harmony." 3 days we labored to build the car house for Sekhem Keru. Not because the work exceeded our capacity. I had designed something intimate, proper for a single honored soul, but because each step required the mysteries to be transmitted. Why we aligned it towards Ra's rising. Why we carved the sacred symbols by hand, rather than with their light-etching tools from beyond the sky. Why we painted the interior walls with scenes of Sekhem Keru's sojourn, rendered in the traditional manner, though the subject walked between stars. The Kereneta absorbed each teaching with the hunger of initiates approaching the inner sanctum. They wished to understand not merely the method, but the divine why beneath action. Why this angle pleased Ma'at. Why these colors invoked protection. Why we scattered sand mixed with frankincense during the sealing words. On the final evening, we placed the crystalline urn in its niche. Though their companion possessed no preserved body, that first essential anchor, I had carved a statue in approximation of their form. This would serve as the dwelling for Sekhem Keru's car. "This vessel troubles you," the taller one observed, perceiving my concern. "The body is the foundation," I admitted. "Without flesh preserved or its substitute, the car wanders. But the gods are merciful. This statue, properly consecrated, may serve. Though—" I hesitated. "Speak," they urged. "Your companion's original form dissolved. An Egyptian would say this is the first death, true annihilation. What we attempt now is to provide a second chance, a dwelling the car might find acceptable. The gods have not revealed to me if one who becomes heir can return to inhabit stone." The Kereneta stood silent, understanding the gravity. I performed the opening of the mouth ceremony upon the statue, touching his lips, eyes, and ears with ritual implements. The words I spoke were ancient, given by Thoth himself, adapted now to embrace his foreign soul into Ma'at's protection. "I have opened your mouth. I have opened your eyes. You are given breath. May Osiris judge you worthy. May Anubis guide your path through the Duat. May Ra grant you rebirth at dawn." I inscribed the walls not merely with biographical senses, but with spells from the Book of the Dead, the map for navigating the underworld, the words to speak before the 42 judges, the declaration before Osiris's scales. The shorter Kereneta trembled, silver droplets falling slowly. "This will preserve?" "If the gods find your companion's heart light as Ma'at's feather, Sekhem Keru will not merely be remembered. They will live, transformed, dying each night with Osiris, reborn each dawn with Ra. Their ark will join the eternal cycle, the justified dead who dwell in the field of reeds." The taller one turned those mirror eyes upon me. "We have crossed the star rivers. We have learned the hidden mathematics of creation itself. We have stood where the sky ends, but in all our wandering we never learned to anchor what departs." "Then perhaps," I said gently, "the gods guided your skyboat here. What you sought was not human wisdom, but divine mystery. We are merely servants of what Thoth taught, that death is not ending, but transformation, that Ma'at encompasses even dissolution, that love requires not just memory, but participation in the eternal." They bowed deeply, a gesture learned from us, and offered now with full understanding. "We came seeking knowledge of building craft," the taller one said. "We measured angles of the great pyramids as puzzles, but we did not understand We gazed upon Ma'at made solid, upon the god's victory over Isfet, upon resurrection machinery. You understand now, I said. Yes. The word resonated like a temple bell. Your greatest knowledge is not tool or stone. It is this. You have been taught by the gods themselves how to transform death into life. You have been given the words to defeat the second death, a true forgetting, true annihilation. This is why we came. This is what we lacked. As their skyboat lifted into the night, becoming one with the imperishable stars, I stood beside Sekhem Keru's car house and smiled. Let the Kerenetta return to distant heavens with their impossible crafts and star-crossing wisdom. They carried home something more precious than any sky knowledge. We had taught the Starwalkers the mysteries of Osiris, and in doing so, we had welcomed them into Ma'at's eternal embrace.